this works. Hey everyone, Sheila here from Life with Pets. I am hoping this is working okay. I need to try and figure out chat. Let me see if I can sort this out before I do anything else. All right, just bear with me and figure out chat. Let me see if I can. Okay, let's see. Oh, there we go. I have got it up, I think. All right, can you all hear me okay? If you could just let me know you can hear as well. Okay, that's great. Okay, I am using a different system that I have not used in a very long time. So I was not sure how to get it going, but it looks like it's working okay. So hey everybody, it is 2019 and this is the first video that we have put out this year. Unfortunately, we missed last week due to a long-term illness that I have, and unfortunately I was not able to do them. And so I was chatting with our special guest via Facebook message, and she suggested we do a live stream together. And so that is what we are going to do. So special guest, if you would like to introduce yourselves, and then we can get this live stream going.
Hello everyone, my name is Kasha from YouTube channel Creative Pet Keeping. I too have not put out any videos in 2019 yet. And when I was talking to Sheila, she was like, "Oh, I don't have a video." Then I was like, "You know what? I don't know. Let's just live stream. Maybe it'll work out." I never ever have time to do live streams on Sundays, and this is like the only day. So it was like so lucky. So I was like, "Let's do it. Let's do it." So I'm very excited to see you all today.
Yes. So we figured we would just get together and we can all geek out on beta fish. I believe Big City Betas, Amber, I think, is in the chat. I thought I saw her earlier on. So she is also in the chat as well. So we have all the beta fish people. All we need now is Taylor. Maybe we should have let Taylor know, and then we would have had another one as well, but never mind. Oh, there we go. Amber says, "Hello, ladies. Good to see you both. Good to see you too, Amber." Jordan is here from Alluring Betas. Oh, how cute. Thank you, Jordan. All right, so if you've got any questions, then go ahead and ask. I've got one for Kasha. And Kasha, what is the best event that you went to last year, and what event are you looking forward to going to this year?
Oh, it's gonna be the answer is gonna be the same for both. So I think last year Aquashella was a lot of fun because it was very different, because it was a fish keeping event, but at the same time it was a place where there was art on display and there was music, and I don't know, there was just a lot of things going on that all tied into the theme of fish keeping. And it was so interesting. As an artist myself, it was very cool to get to enjoy other people's fish related art. And then this year, not only is there going to be one Aquashella, but there's going to be two Aquashellas in two locations. There's going to be Dallas and Chicago as well. I'm really looking forward to that. I don't think I can go to Aquatic Experience this year, so Aquashella is going to be the thing for me that I'm really looking forward to. It should be a lot of fun. They did such a good job for their first event last year, so I'm hoping that this year is going to be like 5 times better. And yeah, I'm really excited, and I'm hoping that a lot of people can make it either to the Dallas or the Chicago one.
Yeah, I am hoping to get to the Dallas one this year. So that one's still a little uncertain, but I am hoping to make that one. But I don't think that we can do the, I know I can't do the Chicago one. I don't think that we can do the Aquatic Experience this year, but who knows? We'll wait and see. But I'm definitely hoping to do Dallas. Let us know in the chat who is planning on going to Dallas. That would be good to know. Who is planning on being there. And I do believe that I've heard a few YouTubers say that out of all the events, the Aquashella is the best event. I don't believe they've ever done it in Dallas before. Is that right, Kasha? Is this
that's going to be the first time that it's going to be that location. So I don't know how it's going to turn out, but I think it's gonna be nice when you have like a blend of a lot of fun stuff together. There's events for kids, there's events for everyone. So I'm super excited for that. And I can't say if it's confirmed like 100%. I can only say about 90%, but I think Banana's gonna be able to go. And I think that's like the coolest thing because she's way cooler than me. I'm not cool like Banana.
And is the YouTube couch going to be there?
I think so. I hope so.
Who actually owns that couch?
I don't know. Because the couch that we had originally in Aquashella, that was part of the venue. So we just borrowed it from a different location within the venue and we just moved the two couches. But then the one that appeared in Aquatic Experience, I don't remember where it came from, the mystery couch. It'll be funny if the same exact one appears and it's going to end up being like the traveling couch, because all the stuff that we're going to be using in Dallas for the YouTube booth is going to be going back and forth between Dallas and Chicago. So it may become a traveling couch.
That would be really cool if that happens. Yeah. And what about the big sign that was carved out? Didn't your friend make that, the big wooden sign?
Yes, I don't remember the name because I'm horrible at remembering everyone's names. I could look it up. Actually, I could look it up right now. And maybe while I'm looking it up, we can do more questions.
Okay. All right. I will take a look in the chat. I do want to apologize. If you hear tapping around in the house, it's just my dog tapping around. We have wood floors, and at the moment he's quite unsettled. He's not been very well, and so he's quite unsettled, and he keeps tapping around. So if you hear tapping, I apologize. And if it keeps flipping to me when Kasia is speaking, then that is why, because when you speak or make a noise with we're on Google Hangouts, then it will flip to the other person. So I'll apologize for that in advance now. So if that happens, then you'll just have to forgive me on that one. So
it's Andrew, and oh yeah, Andrew from Matt, because I'm noticing Amber pointed out Andrew's from Mad Tanks made the sign. There we go.
Oh, okay.
I forget everyone's name. I remember the first year I met Corey, I kept calling him Cody. It was so bad. It was so bad. Like he's a good sport. He was laughing at it, but like I'm the worst. I am honestly the worst when it comes to names. And then I think it's hilarious because at both Aquashella and both Aquatic Experience, people got us confused. So a lot of people were like, "Hi, Sheila," and I was like, "That's not me."
It's not like we even look alike. I mean, you've got blonde hair and I've got dark hair. So, I mean, you know, we don't even look anything like each other. So that's maybe because the divided tank was there. Maybe that's
because I brought the divided tank, and then also I have all your dividers and I have them set up in my tanks too, so that could make it very similar. So I'm thinking that might be it, but I just think it's funny that happened.
Yes. Actually, on the subject of dividers, we are actually in the process of finally of making the 20-gallon tall divider. We are in the very early stages of it, and Kasia has very kindly volunteered to test it out for us. And so we're hoping that maybe by the mid to end of February it will actually be available, but we'll just have to wait and see. So, yeah, so that's very exciting for us in 2019 for sure. Okay, is Belfin, somebody's put, oh, look at Belfin, he must have made a guest appearance in the corner there, because we've got just some of the tank showing. All right, let's see if we've got any questions here. Let's see. Oh, somebody else has put, yeah, his name's Belfin. But your Goldie wants some camera time. He is such a camera hog, I can tell you. All right, what is the best thing to feed Narrate snails? I live in Canada, otherwise I would buy your food. Sheila, well, thank you very much. What do you have Narrate snails, Kasia?
I actually don't. All I have is like a ginormous infestation of Malaysian trumpet snails in every single tank, and then I have a couple ram's horn, like random ram's horn snails. Mm-hmm. And then I got what's the third one? I bought some assassin snails for one tank because I was like, this is getting a little too much. You know, when you turn on the light and you walk into a room at night, and then you notice that like your substrate is just snails because they've all came out. that's when you know. You're like, okay, we have too many snails happening in this tank.
So what do you feed them?
I've been feeding a combination of, actually could grab it because it's right here. Oh, I have a food box. This is my food box of magical foods.
Very organized.
All the Ken's foods. So the Ken's premium vegetable wafers, because they're good for plecos too. And then I have the, and I just put them in a smaller baggie so I don't have to open the big one. This is the not bloodworms, but the earthworm sticks. And then the third one is the Ken's premium vegetable sticks with calcium, since I know that snails need calcium. I've never tried to make my own food. I would like to one day, but because I feel like I have so many snails already populating, I don't want to feed them too well at the moment.
Yeah, that would make things a little worse potentially. Yeah, I feed, so Narrate snails typically will prefer the algae in the tank. I find that mine, we do produce enough algae, so that is all they eat. However, they will eat the rapashi gel food, and they will also eat zucchini or cucumber, and we do blanch it. I do also do blanch spinach, and they will occasionally eat that, but not very often. So I would say that ideally you could do with the tank producing enough algae, because that is predominantly what they prefer to eat. Anybody wanting a snail for algae, without a doubt, Narrates are the best, because that is what they prefer to eat. They will eat that over any other food. And I do get a lot of messages about people that the Narrate snails aren't eating prepared foods, and that often can happen. So although it's a snail that I think they're one of the better snails, or the best snails, I do think that you do need to be producing enough for them to eat. So it's a difficult one, but mine will eat the rapashi gel food, and like say the zucchini and the spinach. So maybe try that if it's not eating. All right, let's see what else we've got here. Nikki says, thanks for the great beta tips, both you ladies. Well, thank you very much. All right, let's see. Oh, Alluring Betta says, did you see my last video? There is another good use for your tank dividers. Ha ha ha. No, I haven't seen it yet, Jordan, but I will watch it. But no, I haven't seen it yet.
Now I'm curious too.
Yes, I'm curious now as well. What other use have you found for them? All right, let's see. Let me see.
Oh, there's got any shrimp tips today from Michael Anderson.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't have cherry shrimp, but I do have the pumpkin orange, and then I do have the Bloody Marys, and I don't know what the third kind is. I don't remember the name, because they're mostly Daniel's shrimp. But as a beginner, I think one good tip is when you're doing water changes, take it slow. At the moment, with my first tank, I would drip the water in. I know you don't have to drip the water in every time you do a water change, but we noticed that at first we had a big die-off, and then it stopped as soon as we dripped the water in. And I think that whenever you're trying something new for the first time, it doesn't hurt to try to take as many precautions and take things as slow as you possibly can. And then as you get better and you get a better feel for things, you can, maybe do like quicker water changes. For us also, we fed them very sparingly. And then we started to increase the food, because the original tank is a 5-gallon tank. So it's very easy with a small tank to overload the bioload and overfeed, or have too many shrimps breed in there. So it's better to do a little less, and then slowly ease your way into it until you kind of figure out what works for you. I'm still figuring out, because I'm still pretty much a brand new shrimp keeper.
Yeah, I would say with ours, we have got cherry shrimp. And I remember that when I first brought them home, a bit like you, I was so, I drip acclimated, and I did very, very small water changes. Now, I mean, cherry shrimp are quite hardy. They are probably, they are classed as the beginner shrimp. So they are quite hardy. And I have now I do 50-60% water changes, because we do have a lot of them in the tank. They are breeding like crazy. We've probably got hundreds of them in a 10-gallon tank. And so I am now doing water changes twice a week, 50–60% each time. And it's literally, I just take the water out and I put the water back in. There's no drip acclimating, there's no nothing. But like I say, they are much more hardy than a lot of other shrimp. So I think you're right that I think you need to make sure that your water parameters do suit them. I mean, I've had mine now for about a year and a half, and all that are breeding are still from the original 28 that we were given. I've not added any more. I do actually plan on adding some more over the next month or so. I want to sort of, you know, spread the genetic pool out somewhat. But they have actually started throwing some, I'm not quite sure how you say it. I think it's like, is it Rilly shrimp? Is it Rilli, I think, or I can't remember how you spell it. But
I think so. Is it the two colors with the clear middle?
Yeah.
We have a couple of those with the orange. The oranges have been starting to do that too.
Yeah. And apparently they all stem from cherry shrimp, and we've had these for I'd say about 18 months, and they've never done that. And it's just been in probably about the last 2 or 3 months we've started seeing some. So I'm going to start sort of like picking them out and putting them in another tank and see if we can start another. But like I say, I need to add some more diversity, I think, to the gene pool, because it's been going for so long. But they're just breeding like crazy. But yeah, I agree. Take it slowly initially so that they are used to your water parameters. But once they get used to it, then for the type we've got, which is the cherry shrimp, like I say, we can do very large water changes and we have no issues whatsoever. But we do feed heavily. I will say that, which is why we're doing a lot of the water changes, because we do feed heavily. So, all right.
Let me tell you a really quick short story regarding the shrimp. So in the pumpkin orange tank, we have a bunch of water lettuce growing, and then it grows the best in that tank because the light, I guess it really loves the light. So the roots grow really long. And then the shrimp keep it really beautiful and clean. While in the other tanks, there's like fuzzies and things that grow in the roots. So I rotate the water lettuce. I'll put this one with the fuzzies, and the shrimp will eat and clean it up again. And then I'll put the clean ones in the tank. But what I noticed is, even though I try to shake the water lettuce and make sure any baby shrimp come off before I move it to a different tank, I think I've had a couple hitchhikers, because I'm starting to spot like mystery magic shrimp like in all my tanks. They're starting to get everywhere. And the crazy part is, I'm starting to find colors that I've never seen. So I have one shrimp that is a full brown color. And I'm just like, I don't even have a brown shrimp. Like, where did you come from? And then like I was checking the Mahachai tank, and then there's like a nice red, I think another Bloody Mary, just like walking around like la la la. I'm like, how did you? now they're kind of spread everywhere, which was not intended. But it's kind of cool because they're sort of helping keep the tanks clean, since they're such cool little cleaners. So they're helping me out. They haven't gotten eaten. Unfortunately, any of the bigger cichlid tanks, if I put water lettuce in there, they would get eaten. So there's none in any of those. But it was something interesting, and it's kind of cool to have the random shrimp everywhere now, because if something happens, now I have unplanned backup shrimp. I don't know. Yeah. It's a kind of fun, interesting thing that sort of happened.
Yeah.
Although I have to be careful, because cross contaminating. If I'm spraying shrimp around the tanks, that means I'm also, by moving the water lettuce around, that means I could possibly be cross contaminating my tanks. Luckily, I don't have anything going on right now in any of them. But that's something I feel like I should point out, because in case someone else wants to rotate plants around, that's just something to keep in mind. Just be careful, because you never know.
Yeah, that's very true. That's right. Yeah, we've ended up with them in, I think we've got them in like 4 out of our 6 tanks. I think it's sort of, I say deliberately, and then they've just continued to breed. We did put some in the 10-gallon divided, and I wasn't sure if they'd survive, but they've been in there for over a year now, and they're populating like crazy. And so the beta fish, I mean, I'm sure they probably do pick 1 or 2 off here and there, but for the most part, they don't seem to bother with them. But that tank is like a jungle. So they've got plenty of places to hide for sure. So, okay, so Nanoscape Aquatic says, are you still using the Betta Amino app, I'm assuming? Or is it Amino,
I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you still use it?
I kind of forgot about it on my phone just because when I had it on, I had a ton of notifications. I already have like a ton of notifications, and I was just getting lost. So somewhere at the end of 2018, I like cleaned out my notifications and really limited a lot of stuff because there's like too much going on, and I've had so much work recently that like I cannot. There's too many things, and I want to be on all the social media, and I want to be able to talk to everyone. But then there's a conundrum where, for example, on Amino app, there's a lot of people that wanted to private message me and talk to me. And at first, before they figured out I was there, it was only like a few people. So I was like, oh, cool, I can talk to you. But then sometimes I was busy and all of them wanted to talk, and I don't want to make it seem like I'm ignoring those people. And then more people started asking me. And then I'm in a point where it's not fair that I talk to some people and I don't talk to other people. So I had to make the choice of like not talking to any of the Amino people and just kind of mute the notifications on my app, which is unfortunate because I want to interact with everyone. I really wish I had the time in my life to do it, and it's hard. It's same like with Instagram. For I think 2 years, I have not even looked at my messages on Instagram, like my message requests. I'm like, I can't, and it's sad because you want to have that interaction. So at this point, my only interactions with anyone on social media seems to be, I guess, if I live stream or at these events like Aquashella is a great opportunity where, you know, if you're there, like we can talk and we can hang out. So that's the one downside of being on social media, I think, is, you know, people have that relationship with you, but you don't have the time to give everyone the attention, unfortunately. And I kind of wish I could because there's a ton of amazing people in the community.
Yeah, I agree. I do still go on it, as in, you know, sort of, but I don't tend to post, and I don't tend to do the notifications anymore like you. I ended up with just, it was just too much. And I usually don't do Facebook. I am on Facebook and you know, sort of, but message wise, I don't tend to do a great deal. Instagram, I do as many direct messages as I can. I do quite a lot of those, I would say. But again, you know, there are those that will get missed, and it's just sheer volume. We did have to put a stop to with emails on all our sort of everywhere our email address is out there. I have that we can't answer questions. It's only like business related to do with our store and things like that. Because like you say, there just, you know, there just isn't the time as much as you would like to do it. The time's just not there to do it, unfortunately. So but Instagram, I do as many as I can. And like I say, sometimes though people do get missed, or there's just that many I don't see them, and I do go through and clear out as often as I can as well, because otherwise it just gets completely loaded down. But yeah, it is unfortunate, I think, that we can't do as much as we would like to do, I guess. All right, let me see.
That's true. Oh, we also have JH Aquatics here. Hello.
Hi, Joseph.
We have Silverstream Bettas. We're having more and more people pop in here.
Yeah. All right. Okay, somebody's talking about shrimp again here. I want to keep cherry shrimp. How do I keep the population down? I would say shrimp will breed. However, they are more likely to breed if you feed heavy. So in our case, obviously we feed heavy because we want them to breed. Whereas I think if you feed a lot lighter, then they're not going to breed as much. You're not going to stop them breeding, but they won't breed as much. Have you found that to be true as well?
I think so. I don't think I've had them long enough to kind of experiment yet, because I also, my tanks, I've set it up kind of with a lot of hidey spots. So unless I remove everything, I actually don't really see how many I have yet. But I'm actually curious. I probably at one point should remove my decorations to do like a little spot clean anyways, and really see how much shrimp I have in that tank. Because we've tried to remove some already, because my biggest fear is that tank will become overcrowded, because with a 5-gallon, there's not a lot to work with. I'm a lot more relaxed, and I see more of the shrimp in the 20 gallons that are behind me. The two 20-gallon talls have some shrimp in there as well. and those I can see. And those I noticed they're breeding okay, because if I feed them too heavily, and one of them I have Sunny the Betta. Sunny the Betta doesn't know when to stop eating, so I can't feed too heavily because he will pig out until he's like looks like he's about to explode. So I feel like I have to reduce the feeding just for him. And then with the guppies in the other tank, I can feed a little more. And I did notice the population is a bit bigger in this tank, but it's actually something interesting that I think I want to pay attention to more closely now that's pointed out.
Yeah, I think it was Jadron Aquatics. No, it wasn't Jadron. It was Carlos, the fish nerd. It was his video I saw a lot. It was a good while ago now. It might even have been a year ago, where he did I don't know if it was an experiment. I think it was. I might have that particular detail wrong. But what he did was he had again, I think it was a 10-gallon tank, and he did auto water changes on it every single day, and it was large auto water changes. He fed heavy, and his shrimp just exploded, and literally the whole tank was just covered in shrimp. And so that's sort of what, I just thought, well, I can't do water changes every day, but I'm going to sort of I do the 2 a week. And when I say I feed heavy, I certainly don't overfeed. The food is gone within several hours, but I do make sure that there's plenty in there, because we also have the snails in there as well. So there's that as well. But yeah, I do think it's an interesting topic. All right. You seen any questions interesting?
I'm looking, there's some conversations happening, which is always awesome. Everything in a short time says amazing channel. So yeah, I'm hoping they're referring to you because you're awesome. Let's see, any Silverstream Betta says, what's the best size tank for a Neocaridina shrimp? Ooh, I feel like I'm too new of a person to answer that question, but I know for a fact that like slightly bigger tanks are always safer. So I would guess, and this is just me guessing, that an ideal tank would be maybe 20-gallon, maybe. What do you think?
For what was that for? I haven't
for
seen.
Neocaridina shrimp.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think because of, I mean, at the end of the day, you can put shrimp, like you've said, in a 5-gallon. It's more what happens once they start breeding, sort of, and that population. So yeah, I think I'd probably agree. I mean, to me, a 10-gallon is fine as well, but you've got to keep up on the maintenance if you get them breeding in there. I know when we have Anacharis or Ancharias growing in our shrimp tank, and it grows, I swear it grows an inch a day. It grows so quickly. We're forever taking it out, and it just grows like crazy. And I did a really severe taking it all out, and I've literally left myself with about 3 stalks. That's it. And I couldn't believe how many shrimp were in there. Just couldn't believe how many shrimp were in that tank. So yeah, I think that, sort of, if it's a long-term project of having them with fish and it needs to be heavily planted and all that sort of thing, then I would say a 20 as well. However, you certainly could do a 5-gallon. I wouldn't go any smaller than that. I know people do, but I personally wouldn't. And I think 10-gallon and up is a good way to go. So, Deborah's in here. Hi, Deborah. Good to see you. Belfin does keep, Deborah absolutely adores Belfin. Every time Belfin is posted, she has to hooray and give him kisses and hugs and everything. So, Deborah, I hope he makes an appearance in the corner for you. I don't know if he has, but I hope he does, because his tank is right there in the corner.
He's the cutest. I kind of wish that I had like anything interesting happening in my 55, but I just have a bunch of juvenile Placidochromis, and they're just all growing out, and then in that stage where they're all just gray, and they're going to become like really beautiful fish. The males are going to become like very iridescent blues with yellows and stripes, and the females will actually turn like a pearl color, kind of like a whitish, like iridescent. I call them like unicorn females because they kind of look like pretty little unicorns. So I'm growing all them out. So right now, like, you kind of see them swimming, but you don't see them yet, and you just gotta wait. And eventually, one day, they're just gonna blossom into majestical fish.
Yeah, well, I posted, I don't know whether you saw it just recently, a picture of so many people can't get over like Belfin's colour. And so
I saw it.
Yeah, the picture of him where, I mean, everyone always asks where we got him from as well. And I just won't say because, you know, we didn't, I thought we were buying from a good source, but it turned out it wasn't. And I mean, what we got, I mean, that picture is the day we got him that's on Instagram right now. And he was just so stunted, so underweight. And obviously he's, you know, he's turned into an absolutely stunning fish, but people just do not believe it's the same fish, you know, because he went from that like silver blue, he went to like a deep, deep black color. And then he started going white and black. And so we've got the transition of the white and the black. And then he eventually started developing the lemon on the head, you know. And so, and the number of people that just tell me I'm lying, it's not the same fish. And it's like, it's the same. You know, because they change colour. Goldfish change colour. I mean, you know, orange ones don't tend to, but if you get an orange and white, say an orange and white mixed goldfish, very often they will end up orange. And apparently I have learned that what is a true blue Aranda, which is what he was, will actually, most of them, not all of them, they will actually become lemon heads, which is what he is. You know, so, but yeah, he is the same as in that picture, but I get fed up with people telling me that, you know, I'm lying and it's not the fish, and, you know, and well, it is, you know. So, okay, I've seen this question twice. I do not know the answer to this. Maybe you do. I had a surprise birth of panda cories in my community tank. I am worried because I didn't think my 5 pandas would breed. What should I do food-wise? Will the other fish eat him? I have not had cories breed, so I really can't help with that one. Kasia, are you able to?
I've actually, well, I've got cories before in the past. I think the first time I tried having cories was maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And I don't remember what I did wrong, but I know for sure it was something I did wrong, but they didn't last more than a month. And after that, I was like, okay, maybe I should not get more cories until like I'm better prepared, because it was one of those, I went to one of the GCCA swaps and they had them there, and it was one of those, like, I try not to do impulsive purchases, but like once in a while it happens, and it was one of those situations where I was not prepared enough to take care of them, and unfortunately I feel like because of that they're not here today. So because of that, I've been like holding off. I think one day I'd like cories, but I would like to prepare myself better so that I can, you know, to the best of my ability, create a habitat where they can thrive in.
Yeah, we've got them, but they've never bred. We've had them many times, but they've never bred. So I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. So I am sorry, we cannot help with that one. Okay, I've got one here. Any ideas on how to tame a nervous lionhead? I would say if it will hand feed, depending what you're feeding. If you could feed something like Rapashi gel food, or maybe cubes of bloodworm, and see if it would actually hand feed, then that is one way of doing it. We did find for Belfin that mainly due to health issues, we had to put him in a much smaller tank. But we did find that once we did that, the difference was amazing. He has become the most sociable fish ever. But I would say if you're able to maybe get them to hand feed, that would be a possibility. Do you have any other ideas on that, Kasia?
Well, I kind of try to think about it as positive reinforcement works for a lot of animals, and food is the best positive reinforcement. So that's why when you start talking about feeding, I was like, that's perfect. Because if you, to a fish, like, who are we? They don't know what we are. We're just these big moving things around their tank. But if this moving thing only shows up to do nice things, like bring food that they like, they're going to start to associate, like, oh, this person, whatever this is, means food. So, oh, I like this. This is a good thing. So I don't know, is it okay if you feed goldfish maybe smaller amounts, but more often? Or
Absolutely.
Is it, yeah, because maybe you could start doing that. So instead of, like, most people would feed their fish like once or twice a day, let's say, or 3 times. Maybe you can take the amount that you would normally feed, but split it into even smaller portions and just feed those portions. So, like, say for a week, you're feeding 4 or 5 times a day. for a week or two, because that way you're free. Every time you're showing up near the tank, you're bringing, their food is happening. So the association of human food is starting to form, and then you can kind of, in a way, like training any other animal. You're making a positive experience for them by showing up, and maybe that'll help.
Yeah, I think that I'd agree with that. I think that you could, because I mean, as long as obviously they're not being overfed in a day, you can feed as many times as you want. You just do much smaller, smaller portions. So yeah, I would say to me as well, the food definitely. I mean, Belfin will hand feed, and when he was in the much larger tank, he was in a 55-gallon. He was so skittish. He hated the camera. I mean, he would just, as soon as he saw it, he would just like fly away from it, and he wanted nothing to do with it. Whereas now he sees that camera and he has just got to be there, and he wants to be center of attention. And like I say, though, for us, and that was putting him in the smaller tank that did it. Now, I'm not suggesting for 1 minute that you put a goldfish in a smaller tank. He is in there because of health issues. He's now in a 20-gallon, but initially he went in a 10-gallon. And obviously he is a large goldfish. I think from sort of like tip to end of tail, he's about 7-8 inches. He is very long. It doesn't really show on camera just how big he is. So obviously that is not ideal, but we were really struggling with him health-wise, and that was what we chose to do. And it worked for us, that worked. And he's now in a 20. I would like to get him in a 30. I have sort of been loosely starting to look and see if we can find one, a 30-gallon long, that is, because it's the height that seems to be his issue. If he's in anything that's too deep, then he does have swimming issues, and obviously that's not good. So,
have you ever heard of 40-gallon low boys? They're a 40-gallon tank. They're the height of, I would say, a 20-gallon long, so they're not very high at all, but they have a lot of that surface area, so there's a lot of swimming space. But it seems like for him, it's the water height that might be putting pressure on his swim bladder. So if that was something you might be able, maybe, because I mean, they do take up space, but that is a very interesting tank. I've seen it in Jason's fish room from Primetime Aquatics. He recently got another one, and that's very, very interesting. I feel like I'm hoping they become more popular, because they really give fish a lot of surface area to create territories and also have space to swim around, versus, with fish, we usually give them, like in this tank, you have a lot of vertical space, but there's not a lot of width. So that's something, like, I wish if I had the space, I would love to get 1 or 2 of these, because there's a lot of possibilities. So maybe that could be something you can maybe look into.
Yeah, that's something I have seen them, but space, that would be a huge issue, because like you said, you take up. I also like the 40-gallon long, because that's very similar in that it is very, very long, and goldfish are very much fish that sort of will, I want to say, swim up and down, in the sense of, and most fish, they don't need the height, that's the thing, we do these big, tall tanks, but at the end of the day, they don't really need the height. They need the water volume, but they don't need the height. But then obviously, again, it's taking up a lot more space. We're looking at 125-gallon right now, not for Belfin. This is for our 75-gallon to upgrade that one, because the Bala sharks are growing so quickly. We were told that they're slow growing and that it takes years for them to get to the size, and on different sites I'd read had said the same thing, but that's not true of ours. Ours are really growing quickly. So we're sort of looking to, how are we going to manage that one, because we used to have a 120-gallon, but we had to let it go, and so that was years ago. Whereas now, it's a case of, okay, the 120, it's not as long as the 125, and so you're only about a difference of 5 gallons, but the 120 is so much taller, and we feel for the ballas that are potentially going to hit 12 to 14 inches, then to go tall is not what they need. They need length. So we're sort of looking at that right now. So if anyone sees any great deals on 125-gallon tanks, send me a message, because we're sort of watching the sales, and this year's wasn't as good as last year's, and I think we've probably got about 6-8 well, maybe 8 months absolute tops before we need to get them out of. And the rose lines, I mean, they say they only grow to 5 to 6 inches. Ours are already at that now. You know, they're really big. And like I say, very often on camera, it just doesn't show up just how big fish actually are. So anyway, let's get back to questions.
Outlaw Aquatic says, how did the tanks look when you got to Lucas's? Am I fired or is everything still clean? Lucas's fish room, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. And I'm saying oh my gosh in like an amazed, wonderful way. I feel like everything I know about aquariums is like thrown out the window because I don't know if you know, but his entire fish room is like not filtered at all. He doesn't use filters in all his tanks.
Wow.
And yet his tanks, like the fish are all healthy. His guppies were the biggest guppies I've ever seen, ever. And his tanks look just, it looks natural and it makes sense and everything looks healthy. And the weirdest part is the fish themselves were the calmest I've ever seen, which really like confused me, like, because I'm used to looking at, you know, I mean, my cichlids, you know, cichlids will be crazy because cichlids are crazy, but his guppies act completely different than my guppies. And I'm like, now I'm trying to like absorb all of this and like try to like understand because I don't think I have the skill to like go filterless like he does, but there's a lot of things that I've been wondering, like, am I over filtering my tanks because I'm a little paranoid and I kind of like overdo things. Like, can I cut back a little bit? Like, and there's so much. I'm still, I'm absorbing all of it. And I think it was like a magical experience and a really cool opportunity to see something completely different, but it works. And he, like, talking to him, he knows what he's doing. He knows, and he just figured out a way to make it work. And I just thought it was so cool. It was so cool.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think that I mean, tanks can be done without filters. It's the patience to do it. And obviously, like you say, he's got that. He's got all the setups there and going. And
he's got the skills and experience too.
Yeah.
Which is why, like, I don't want to tell people that, like, you know, if you're a beginner, like, it's easier to just, you know, filter your tank and cycle your tank. It's just like when you've been doing it long enough, you can start doing other things and experimenting because, like, even I don't think I have the skill level to attempt what he's doing yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Our divided tank, the 10-gallon, that one could run unfiltered. It's been set up for so long. It's so well established with all the plants and you know, we've got to the point. I mean, I do the water changes, but we've got to the point that the tank is so self-sufficient. There's like zero everything, you know, because the plants use up everything. So I think that I do a water change usually every other week on that one. And you know, I do believe that one, because it's been established for so long, could be unfiltered. I wouldn't do it because, like you've just said, there's so much to know, and it's not just a case of take a filter out. You know, there's so much more to it than that. But I do think that once a tank's been going for so long, I mean, that one will have been up and running for 2 years in April, I think, or 2 years in March, I think it is. You know, so I mean, it's been up and running for a very, very long time. So there's a question here from Amber. She says, any breeding project plans this year, ladies? After you, Kasia.
For me, I had a hiccup because the pair that I was planning, the male started developing this thing on his chin, which is kind of like what the vet that I was speaking to is referring to fish acne, but it's not really acne. And this happened to me last generation with the last generation. So because I'm seeing this happen twice already, first generation, second generation, I'm assuming that this might be genetic, that's being passed on. I'm not 100% sure, but because this happened twice now, I am reluctant to continue this line because of that, because I don't want it to happen again. So I have kind of paused and I'm reevaluating who I want to breed. And also I've been playing around with the idea of maybe spawning my cellophane female who was from my first spawn, because she's getting a bit older, but she's had really good health this entire time, to actually Raspberry, because even though Raspberry form-wise, he's not like horrible, but he's not perfect either. He also is at the moment a year and 7 months old, not counting whatever age he was when I got him. So, you know, that's already like a fish that's a little older, that had no health issues so far. So if I breed these two, then I would be breeding not for looks, but for health. And so I'm considering it, but the only thing that's holding me back is that Raspberry has become a pet fish. And, you know, with breeding and stress, there's always that risk that, like, after I breed him, that he could totally be fine and continue his good health if he really is a healthy fish, or his health, you know, could decline. And I'm kind of nervous because I'm really attached to all my fish, and I really attached to Raspberry. So I'm thinking about it, but I would like to maybe try to breed for health to see if I can produce nice fish, but that putting health first. Because right now with Bettas, for the most part, there are people who breed for health, but that's a very small minority. Predominantly, everyone breeds for looks, so we're breeding for form, and we're breeding for color and pattern. And sometimes when we get a cool color or pattern, people will start to really, really hardcore line breed to continue that, because that sells really well and people have businesses to run. But then the downside is genetically, Bettas are getting worse and worse. I'm starting to notice, like, I've been on a crazy research bend, and the more I'm looking into it, the more I feel like the state of the Betta splendens right now is not so great. And I really feel like if we want these fish to be there for future generations, we have to start considering breeding for health.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't have any plans as such. I'm not going to say we're not going to do it this year, but I can't say that I have any set plans. I have been loosely thinking about Jasmine. She's just turned out to be an absolutely gorgeous beta fish. In fact, it's the one that Amber actually sent to me. Well, Amber bought it. It went to Taylor, came through Simply Betas to me. I think she's about a year and a half now. And I have been loosely, because she had that little hiccup at the beginning when we first got her, because she wouldn't eat. And you know, I thought there was something going on. But since then, I mean, that's going back now over a year, she has just been so healthy. And so I have sort of been, you know, sort of throwing around. For me, it's because of health issues and the water changes and the care, that's the main thing that is sort of, I would say, stopping me at the moment. It's the time involved in being able to do, you know, sort of do it. But it's something I'm thinking about, but I wouldn't, you know, at the moment I'm going to say no for this year, but I'm not going to say absolutely not. But you know, and I'd need a male as well. I'd need to figure out a suitable male, and that, you know, for her as well, because she really is, and she's held her colouring as well, which a lot of them don't, but she has. I mean, she has gone a little more black, but predominantly she's kept that like yellowy orange colour. The orange is not as orange as it seems to keep coming through when I do photographs, but she has sort of got like a hint of orange within her. So and I totally agree with you as far as that betas just seem to be getting worse and worse. I don't know what it is with imports, but we just really struggle with imports. Blaze that we've only had, I think, coming on a year, is just not doing well at all. Like you were saying about the like the thing on the chin, he's been having the same issues, and we've tried all sorts of different things and just nothing is working. You know, so vet
said, I asked him, he said that the only way he's aware that you can deal with it is it has to actually be surgically removed. But that's not something, you know, many of us have like access to. Even the vet that I talked to, he's not local to me. So it sucks, but it seems like it's something the fish can potentially live with, I think, from what I'm aware, but I don't want to breed for it. I'm just, overall, like, I've been looking at the Betta splendens as a whole for a while now, and the biggest thing for me was whenever I would lose fish, I know that there's a lot of error on my part when it comes to fish keeping, but I also feel like a lot of it, I think, is poor genetics, and I think it's caused me to become too hard on myself and kind of like beat myself up over it, and it was like really, really unhealthy. There was a point that I was legitimately wanted to quit keeping bettas, and I remember like I talked to you about it, and I was like, it's sad because you truly care about these fish. You want these fish to be healthy. You want to do the best that you can. And then also because you're making videos on YouTube that other people, follow along oftentimes, you want to do the best you can because you not only affect your choices not only affect your fish, but they're affecting other fish too. And that is a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree. Yeah. Yeah. It is because you're right in that we make errors and we don't get everything right and we don't, but by having the channels and putting the content out there, people do copy what you do. People do, sort of see you do X, Y, and Z, so they're going to do X, Y, and Z, and so it is important that we do the best by them, and I hate it when it's like Blaze. For Blaze, he's having trouble eating, so it is affecting him. Now, I don't know whether you remember when we got him, he was the one that had the one ventral fin. And whilst, not having the ventral fins, it happens, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's something genetic. It can be bacterial. I mean, there can be many different reasons, but to me, when he came, he maybe wasn't the best specimen to start with. And I feel that that's been the case with him. He's held his colour amazingly. I mean, he's still bright orange with very little black. He's absolutely gorgeous, but it has started affected his eating, in that you can see he tries to eat and there's only certain foods he can eat now. And so, I'm not sure sort of how much longer he'll go on for. And again, it's another import that, sort of they just, we've done so much better, believe it or not, with pet store beta fish, particularly our Petco, but they are locally bred. I don't know who's breeding them, but they are locally bred, and we have done so much better with them than we've done with anything else, except I will say Jasmine. I mean, we have only had Jasmine a year and a half, but she has been exceptionally healthy for that year and a half. So in fact, I think Amber just did a thing saying about her. I still have a full sister, super healthy, and a Fryer great too. She has produced a great spawn for Taylor when she had it. Oh, I didn't know she'd been bred by Taylor. Pattern and colour are holding on this lady too. So yeah, so she has been a good one, but over as a whole, I feel that we've done so much better with pet stores, which goes against what everyone says, in that pet store ones are no good, but that's not what we found. But like I say, I do know our Petco ones are locally bred, so whoever's doing them is definitely doing a good job. Now, where they're getting theirs from, I don't know, but so yeah. We'll just do a few more questions and then I think we will call it at that. Well, we'll go to an hour, so just about another 5-6 minutes. And Deborah says, there's my dolphin. Deborah says that she's Belfin's godmother, so she's getting all excited now. There's my Belfin. He must have shown himself again. I can't see what everyone else can see right now because I've got the chat up, so I'm assuming that there we go. So, okay, so let's see, what other questions do we have here? Oh, somebody said, would I still recommend Denison barbs? Absolutely, as long as they are tank raised and that you do a big enough tank, I would say, because in the wild they are becoming endangered. And so you do need to make sure that you know where they're coming from, whether they're tank raised or whether they are wild. And also tank space. And I would say, I mean, we've had them 2 separate times now. First time was in a 120 gallon and we had 8 of them, and that was just a perfect size for them. This time we have 7 of them in a 75 gallon. And now at full size, if I'm honest, I don't think it's big enough. I would have said that initially. I've always sort of said, most people will say minimum 55 gallon. And whilst I think that is okay, if they're going to get to full size, and they are very fast swimmers because they are a barb, so they're very, very fast swimmers. They love to swim, they love to jump. Ours are always cracking themselves on the lid because they're huge jumpers. And so I think that for me, I would say minimum was 75, and I would say that you really need more than that, because they do need to be in groups as well, because otherwise they fight like crazy if they're not. The bigger the group, the less they fight. And so most people will say 5, and we found that that's fine. 5 is a good number. We actually do have 7, and they barely fight. I mean, they still will have squabbles. That's just like any barb, they will have squabbles. But yeah, I would definitely still recommend them, but they do need a big tank for loads of swimming room. So yeah. All right.
Fluff, Fins, and Feathers says, what food do you think is best for feeding betta fish? I would say in order, if you can, live food is always a winner, if possible. Not everyone can do that. Another option, frozen food, I think is my second favorite. But if you can't do that, then if all you have available is pellets, then I would say try to mix 2 or 3 brands together. Because the more you mix, the more better chance you have of feeding a more balanced diet. You can also try to make your own food. I have never tried that before, but I also have tried the gel rapashi foods. But predominantly, if I can find live or frozen, that's kind of what I try to go for.
Yeah, I would say we're the same. We predominantly feed frozen. Live is not found around here, unfortunately. So we do frozen, and I do a wide variety of frozen. I don't just do, most people would just do the bloodworms and the brine shrimp, and that is okay. But we try and sort of do mysis shrimp. We also will do, not often, but we do beef heart occasionally. And they do actually like clam as well, believe it or not. I don't do that very often, but I do throw it in there. I just think variety is everything. And then pellet foods, we usually do a mixture of the fluval bug bites. I swear by those. Our fish absolutely love them. I mix it in with the beta fluval bug bites, which, by the way, we sell both of those on our website. Shameless plug there, but we do. And then also I do the New Life Spectrum, and then I use, is it Ken's Fish Food? Is it Ken's Foods? Ken's Fish Foods?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do that, and I basically mix all those together so that when I'm feeding, and Vibra Bites, again, shameless plug, we sell those. I tell you, those to me are the best food. They are absolutely amazing. We are puffers. Every fish we own will eat those, every single fish. I don't feed them to Belfin, not because he wouldn't eat them, because he certainly would, but I feel they're a bit small for him. But Vibra Bites are definitely become one of my top foods. I just absolutely love it, and so do the fish. They go crazy for it. I think it's because they look like bloodworms. I think that's probably why. And the puffer fish, our Amazon puffers, they're obsessed with that food. Absolutely obsessed with it. They love it. So
I need to try it. I've never tried that before.
You haven't?
No.
Oh, yeah. Well, I tell you what, when I send you the tank divider, I'll send you a pack.
Oh,
and then you can try it. Okay, and then you can try it, because I'm telling you, it is just absolutely. I think we just started trying it, I think, when Corey came out with his video, because I remember thinking, we're already trying it. And yes, I agreed with him, because he was saying the puffers eat it and everything, and it was like, totally agree with that, because they do, ours do. And ours, well, we had one that would eat pellet food, which I mean is not ideal for puffers, and that's not what we predominantly feed, by the way, but they will eat pellet food. One of them would, but the other 2 wouldn't. But since the Vibra Bites, when those Vibra Bites go in, I do a mix of like Vibra Bites and all the other pellets, and when those Vibra Bites go in, they go crazy for them, and all the puffers will eat them. So absolutely fabulous food. So yeah, can't say enough about it. Anyway, guys, I think we will call it there at this point. Thank you all so much for joining us. Kasha, thank you for suggesting this. This was a lot of fun, and my first video of the year, so thank you for doing that. And we will all see you in our next videos, I guess. I've got to figure out how to turn this off now.
Thank you for having me.
All right, bye guys. Thank you for joining us.